This is like the fourth take I've tried to shoot this video because something has happened. My cell phone is wrong, whatever it is. So here we are again, take 4 or 5. Welcome to Money Downs. I'm Coach Rocky Hidalgo. Hope you guys are out there changing lives and making men. And I appreciate you guys taking the time to listen to my thoughts on our profession, and sincerely hope that you get something from this. And if not, just, just hit skip, I suppose. Honestly, every time I sit down and do one of these, I feel like I'm talking into a void because there's no immediate feedback on this, and you really don't know how it is or the reception on it is. But I'm going to keep doing it, and hopefully you guys will keep listening. For a guy who spends all day with 100 personal one-on-one reactions or interactions with people, this is a little difficult. So anyway, like all the numbskulls on YouTube, guys, like and subscribe. I don't know exactly what that does, but it does something. And hopefully, you guys will get these videos. My goal here isn't to change anyone's mind. It's just to kind of give my perspective on our profession in a concise format that you consume on your ride into work in the mornings. And this has got to be better than listening to Fox News or ESPN radio. So take a sip of coffee, turn the volume up, and let's kind of talk some coaching here. So today's nugget is for all you guys who want to be head coaches or coordinators, varsity coaches, whatever your aspirations in life, that you want to be something more than you are. So I have a story I use when I interview for a job somewhere, and it's about a cigar store Indian. And I know we're supposed to use the word Native American. I'm not trying to offend anyone. But it's the old wooden Indian that stands in the entrance of the store, and he's got cigars in his hand. So I stole this story from a good friend of mine who shall remain nameless, but it is one that I took from him. Anyway, there's this statue, and he every day he watches these beautiful women walk by on the sidewalk. And as they walk by, he looks at them and he says, "Chance." And the next day, a good-looking 32-year-old mom comes by and he says, "Chance." And every day it's "Chance." And finally, the store owner comes to him and says, "Hey man, I thought you were supposed to say how." And the statue looks at him and says, "Me know how, me want chance." And I tell that story whenever I interview someplace, and everybody kind of chuckles and laughs and kind of sets the tone for the interview. That's really important, setting the tone for the interview, that you have to do that. And I'll do something on that at another point. So you guys aren't allowed to steal that if you're interviewing for the same job as me, just FYI. In this business, all anyone wants is a chance. But when you have an opportunity, when it presents itself, you better have your ass ready and prepared for success, because someone's putting their trust and faith and reputation on the line by hiring you. One of my favorite quotes is from a guy by the name of Bobby Unser, and you guys may be familiar with it, you may not. My grandfather was a mechanic, so he was a big car racing fan. NASCAR, Indy, drag racing, it didn't matter. He watched all of it. And so you guys may know who Bobby Unser is. You may not know. But he was an IndyCar driver, and he won all kinds of races. He won the Indy 500 3 times. I think he's in the top 10 in wins, or at least he used to be. Times change. But anyway, he's a very good racer. So Bobby Unser said, "Success is where preparation and opportunity meet." And I'm going to tell this anecdote, and hopefully you guys will get some meaning out of it. Worst case scenario, you just learned who Bobby Unser was, and that's what you got out of this video. So when I first got the job at Walton High School, I was trying to hire some defensive coaches, and I had a young freshman football coach that wanted to be a varsity football coach. And I had spoken with him in the past about his professional development. I didn't feel like he put enough time. He didn't go to clinics. He didn't talk a lot of ball, but he had a desire to be a varsity football coach. And I was hiring people to be a varsity football coach. So he came to me and says, "Coach, I'm ready to be a varsity football coach. I'd like to be the middle linebacker coach." So I sit down with him. I said, so I draw up our defense on the board, and I draw up, wing T formation. We played a lot of wing T teams at the time. And I said, draw up the buck sweep and show me how you're going to coach, how you're going to defend the wing T out of it, or the buck sweep out of it. And he looked at me and says, "Coach, I don't know what the buck sweep is." And I said, "Well, you're not ready to be a varsity football coach." And he was disappointed, and he went down. He coached 9th grade ball, worked hard. He did a great job on the field with the kids, but still didn't go and do the things necessary during the off season like I had hoped he would in regards to professional development, going to clinics and just sitting around and talking ball on the chalkboard, on the dry erase board. And so the next year, my second year, I was looking for a defensive coach again. I had a guy that I had to let go because of a personal issue, and he wanted that position. And he came to me again. He said, Coach, I'm ready to be a defensive coach. So I drew the same defense on the board. I drew the same offensive formation. I said, show me what buck sweep is. And he goes, Coach, I don't know what buck sweep is. And I looked at him. I was like, man, you had a year to prepare for this. You had a year for this interview, this one moment, and you didn't. The one thing I would have done when I left the room is I would have looked up what the hell the buck sweep was, learned what the buck sweep was, and I would have made sure that the next time I got asked that question, I would have covered it. And so I didn't promote him, and he ended up leaving, and he ended up going to a different school, and he was a freshman coach and really worked hard at his craft after that. I think he probably learned something from it. And today, he's a very successful. He's been a head coach, been a very successful defensive coach, coaches at a school in Metro Atlanta, and does a great job. Now, this guy took another ninth grade job somewhere else, really worked hard, and ended up being a really good high school football coach, has actually been a head coach. So the moral of the story is, when the opportunity presents itself, if you're not ready, that's on you. Coaches don't want to hire people who have to learn on the job. That's not what this job is about. Your professional development is your responsibility, not your boss's. Invest your time in yourself. Go out and develop relationships with coaches. Talk ball. Well, that's one thing that's lost, is talking ball. Watch some of all these YouTube gurus out there. There's a lot of football on YouTube. In this day and age, there's no excuse for somebody not improving their knowledge base. Here's some exercises you can do in the off season. Go out and make an offense or defensive playbook, a position, skill progression, and drill book. Develop some game plans during the off season against some of your opponents. Volunteer to speak at a clinic. It's not so much get paid. Just call a guy up and say, hey man, I want to speak. Go stand up in front of 100 guys and present your ideas. I'm going to tell you something. You'll learn something about yourself right there. You need to discuss your ideas with your coaches and your peers and show them your work. At the end of the day, the absolute worst thing for a coach to progress in our business is to be sitting alone in a room with a notebook full of secret plays that no one's ever going to see. That's just my 2 cents. I think it's important that you take advantage of the opportunities that are out there. And to do that, you've got to make sure that you've put yourself in a position to be successful when they arise, because it's tough getting those positions, getting a head football job, getting a coordinator job, offensive, defensive coordinator, getting varsity positions can be difficult sometimes. It really is. And so that's on you. The onus is on you to go out and make yourself a great football coach, not just when you get the spot, but before you get the position. Be valuable, bring value to your role on any staff. Anyway, so that's all I got today. Have a great day and coach them up.